The British have not been in the EU for 6 weeks. As the economy groans under the new regime, the government looks for excuses and distracts. The town of Merseyside is in the northwest of England, where every job counts. A company there produces insulating materials for the electrical industry. It is high technology that the UK government hopes will help make the country more competitive. But the AEV Group's operation manager Jonathan Kemp complains, "We export all over the world, but it doesn't work with the EU. His customers in the EU don't want to pay the import sales tax that is now due, and they don't want the paperwork either. Our customers demand to be supplied from our factory in Hungary, so we will probably shut down production in Great Britain and invest more in Hungary." Britain is catching up with the reality of Brexit. Since January 1st, the United Kingdom has been outside the EU internal market and the EU customs union. The smooth trade that Prime Minister Boris Johnson had promised in the new trade agreement does not exist. The bad news from the British economy continues. All the talk about smooth trade has nothing to do with reality, complains Peter Cowgill, the board of directors of JD Sports, to the Chamber of Commerce this week. The company exports sportswear made in Asia to the EU, country of origin. There are now export certificates, guarantees of origin, import sales tax and customs duties. Now Cowgill is considering whether to set up a distribution center in the EU with 1,000 employees. Not exactly what you wanted with Brexit, he says. While large corporations with additional staff are adapting to the new bureaucracy with the EU, small and medium-sized companies don't know what to do next. The cheese producer, the Cheshire Cheese Company, can no longer deliver its products to the EU, as expensive veterinary health certificates are suddenly required for exports. Well, not so suddenly. The advice of the UK authorities: open a branch in the EU and deliver from there. And customs is overloaded. For some companies, the problems are existential, warned Adam Marshall, Director General of the British Chamber of Commerce, last week. The situation will worsen in April because grace periods still apply on the British side. As of April, UK customs authorities will also have to insist that EU trucks carry health certificates when importing animal products from the EU. From July 1st, full British customs controls will begin. Then there are even more trucks with only half a load. It doesn't pay off anymore, warns Paul Mummery of the British Freight Forwarding Association, RHA. The situation in trade between between Great Britain and Northern Ireland is even more difficult. There has been an imaginary customs border in the Irish Sea since January 1st, in order to avoid politically explosive border controls between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. The customs formalities in trade from Great Britain to Northern Ireland are suddenly similar to trade with foreign countries. And what's the result of this? Numerous companies no longer supply the province. The Northern Irish are suddenly faced sometimes with empty shelves, especially from UK companies. The situation is so worrying that Cabinet Minister Michael Gove called on the EU to extend transition periods in trade by 2 years in order to accommodate the British. It is clear what the British government is aiming for. It is using the trade difficulties with the Northern Irish to persuade the EU to make concessions that go beyond the previous agreements. Since Great Britain has given up the internal market and thus compliance with EU regulation, the EU does not allow the British, for example, to continuously deliver chilled meat products, seeds, plants and medicine to Northern Ireland without checks. But that's exactly what Gove is now insisting on. The EU waves this aside and again calls on London to first implement the Northern Ireland Protocol as agreed. The fact that Great Britain had the worst recession in decades with a minus of almost 10% is only partially meaningful, as the numbers were influenced by the corona pandemic. However, a survey by the German Chamber of Commerce and Industry in February showed that more than half of the companies expect a further deterioration in their business with Great Britain, a much worse forecast than with other EU countries. Every sixth company is planning to relocate investments from the UK back to Germany or to another EU country. What did the former head of the British Industry Association, Sir Digby Jones, say in the battle for Brexit? Not a single job will disappear from the UK. Warnings were dismissed as Project Fear. I got that a lot as well. The British government had far too big plans for Brexit. The motto was to invest more in technology and research and to deregulate. The British government is doing the former, as can be seen from the DNA sequencing and vaccination campaign of 14 million inhabitants with one dose. The vaccination success helps London over the debacle of Brexit. According to the latest YouGov survey, 41% of those polled would vote for the Conservatives, only 36% for Labour. But the UK didn't have to leave the EU for that. In order to deregulate, however, yes. But the attempt to loosen the labour regulation had to be given up again in January by the Minister for Economic Affairs, Kwasi Kwarteng, after protests by the union. With the deregulation of the financial sector, it is also one of those things. The more London insists on setting its own standards, the lower the chance that the city will gain access to the EU internal market. And this has consequences. As I said yesterday, Amsterdam has already overtaken London in trading EU stocks. Now the government is looking for excuses, saying companies have had enough time to prepare for Brexit. Johnson says they are all just teething problems. Gove, meanwhile, threatened the EU. If we can't come to an agreement, we have to take other measures in case of doubt. In Parliament, he declared that in an emergency, Great Britain would have to overturn the previous agreements with the EU. Relations with the EU are currently more than bumpy, warned British negotiator David Frost in the House of Lords. The signal from the British government is the EU is to blame. It is now clear that it is not just about initial difficulties. The customs bureaucracy and goods inspection are inevitable consequences of Great Britain's exit from the EU customs union and the internal market. The fact that concert producers do not know how to plan tours in the EU is due to the fact that there is no longer any free movement of persons, and they have to apply for work visas for artists and stage workers. The fact that the fishermen are not allowed to export mussels from so-called B waters to the EU is a consequence of the fact that Great Britain is now outside the EU. The EU negotiator Michel Barnier had warned the British, and Jill Rutter of the Institute for Government says that now you can see the consequences of the sovereignty of Great Britain, which Prime Minister Boris Johnson had so much insisted on. The price for this sovereignty is high, and the UK economy is starting to pay it. And as I can see in the comments, still many Brexiteers don't start to understand reality. They are still spamming headlines with false propaganda like before the referendum, and they still don't understand reality. But just one thing, I don't feed the trolls, so I don't talk to you there, but I just delete BS comments with fake headline propaganda. So you don't have to comment on that either. And for the others, if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel and to my other channels. I'll see you in my next video. Auf Wiedersehen.